The Convair F-106A Delta Dart is an American interceptor that saw service throughout the Cold War. It stood out in real life as the backbone of America's air defense, while in War Thunder it stands as a capable fighter. In this video, we'll take a look at the Delta Dart, going into its history, its state in War Thunder, and how to play it. The Convair F-102 Delta Dagger was the US's first operational supersonic interceptor and delta-wing fighter, being designed in the early 1950s and replacing subsonic fighters like the F-89 Scorpion. The Delta Dagger saw combat in Vietnam, where it was quite unsuccessful, primarily due to the notoriously bad AIM-4 Falcons that comprised its primary armament. It had no confirmed kills, while one was shot down by a MiG-21 with an R-3S. In Turkish service, it saw combat in the 1970s against Greek F-5s, although both sides disagree on the results. Throughout its life, it underwent a number of upgrades, and eventually the numerous inherent design limitations of the airframe became apparent. What initially started as an upgrade program in 1954, called the F-102B Ultimate Interceptor, the number of changes meant it essentially became a whole new aircraft, and so was redesignated as the F-106. The F-106, designated the Delta Dart but usually called the 6, was designed without a gun or provisions for carrying bombs, with its primary armament being AIM-4 Falcons in an internal weapons bay, as well as the ability to carry the Air 2 Genie unguided nuclear rocket. It featured a Pratt & Whitney J75 afterburning turbojet engine. It performed its first maiden flight in December 1956, but underwhelming performance led the USAF to cut their order of 1,000 down to 350. Entering service in June 1959, the F-106, after a period of major teething problems involving multiple flaws, up to and including the ejector seat costing a dozen pilots their lives, became the USAF's primary interceptor for most of the Cold War, being the final specialist interceptor to be used by it. While a 1960s competition between it and the F-4 Phantom determined the Phantom to be slightly better, the Delta Dart remained in service with the Air National Guard until the 1980s, when it was gradually withdrawn in favor of new air superiority fighters such as the F-15. In one incident in 1970, an F-106 of the 71st FIS entered a flat spin over Montana. When the pilot ejected, the change in balance caused the now unmanned plane to stabilize and later belly land in a snow-covered cornfield, suffering only minor damage. The 6, dubbed the Cornfield Bomber, was later returned to base by train, repaired, and returned to service, and it still exists in a museum to this day. In 1972, some Delta Darts were upgraded in Project 6 Shooter, which involved fitting the F-106 with a new canopy, an M61 Vulcan 20mm cannon, and an optical gun sight. The cannon meant that the Air 2 Genie couldn't be mounted, so F-106s would often fly without the Vulcan. NASA also used 6 F-106s as test aircraft until 1998, including researching the effects of lightning strikes on planes, with one being struck 72 times. Added in 2025 as the reward for the Skyguard event, the F-106A is a Rank 6 event jet fighter in the American tech tree. It stands out as a very fast and surprisingly maneuverable jet for its BR, having surprising retention at high speeds for a delta wing, although below 750 km an hour it will bleed speed very quickly. On paper, its standout weapons are the AIM-4F and AIM-4G Super Falcon missiles, which you can take 4 of in an internal weapons bay. The 4Fs are semi-active radar homing Fox 1s, while the 4Gs are infrared homing Fox 2s. Both have the same body and are extremely short-range missiles, and lack a proximity fuse and good maneuverability. As such, they are extremely lackluster, and your main source of kills, in practice, will be your M61A1 Vulcan cannon with 650 rounds of ammunition. The Vulcan is an incredibly consistent cannon with great damage, ballistics, and rate of fire, although it does have a short spool-up time. On the Delta Dart specifically, its mounting means that it's unable to be fired when your missile bay is open. As for the airframe, it has a maximum speed of 1,460 km an hour IAS, or Mach 2.1, which is quite fast and therefore something you won't really have to worry about. It lacks flaps, while its gear can go down below 426 km an hour, which, when coupled with a good drogue chute, means that you'll have a fairly easy time landing. The 106 lacks countermeasures and an RWR, and is equipped with the MA1 radar and IRST system, which is an I-band system that notably features HMD, a rarity for a jet this early. While it's not a pulse Doppler system, it's not awful when compared to contemporaries. In Air RB, the F-106A is at 9.3, where it's quite a good plane. As mentioned earlier, your cannon is important, so before anything else, make sure you have your bomb bay key bound, so you can access it quickly if you have your missiles out. The Delta Dart's engine isn't crazily fuel hungry, but it still eats it up, so it's usually worth bringing at least 80% fuel, with the drop tanks not really being necessary. While your missiles can in theory get kills, they're really unreliable and are a gimmick if nothing else. You might be able to get a stalled out enemy or an AFK base bomber with them, but don't get your hopes up. Instead, when you spawn it, get your speed and altitude up to allow you to take advantage of your airframe and your cannons. Make sure not to get slow if there's enemies about, as your lack of flares can make you vulnerable to missiles, especially in up tiers if you're facing aircraft such as the Hunter F-58. As the radar has many modes to cycle between, different ranges, ACM, HMD, and even the IRST, you're going to want to take some time to get familiar with the controls. It's worth having some patience with the Delta Dart, as it's got quite a steep learning curve, especially if you're new to this BR range. As the Delta Dart is an interceptor but lacks any ground ordnance, it's not really viable for CAS. The cannon is a Vulcan at least, which can do alright, but at 9.3 there's significantly better options. Once you have your hands on the F-106A, either from grinding the event when it happened or buying it on the marketplace, you're going to want to spade it. Start off by grabbing the AIM-4Gs, followed by new boosters, AIM-4Fs, and the engine. If you have a high level crew, you can hold off on G-Suit until you've grabbed compressor, but if you're running a low level crew, grab the G-Suit first. After that, grab cover, wings repair, airframe, and fuselage repair, before finishing it off with the offensive 20mm and the new 20mm cannons. And that's it for the F-106A as it currently stands in War Thunder. In the future, it might be interesting to see the F-102 in-game, as well as other interceptors. Regardless, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have, then liking and subscribing would go a long way and really help me to continue to grow this channel. There won't be a poll after this video, as the next one will be about the Iranian F-14A, but if you'd like to be notified of that, or just join the community, there's a link to my Discord in the description. And that's all from me. I've been girltwink. Fly safe.